Hello everyone and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report for the channel. Today in a 17 threat match, the Dark Dimension are going up against a Mystique-led Brotherhood of Mutants. And from this view, before we even go into all the details, last time we used the new objective markers from the Earth's Mightiest Core set. This time we're using some third-party icons which very clearly label what's an extract and what's a secure, although they are kind of reflective unfortunately. But do let me know, for watchability, what is better. Very clearly spelled out with the words, or the new official tokens from the new core box. Let me know, and going forwards, that's what we'll use. So of course the Dark Dimension has to be led by Dormammu himself, and he brings along his Thralls. He doesn't often do well in low threat values. He probably wants to be 18, 19, 20 rather than 17, but he can make do, and has brought along Magic, Kraven the Hunter, and the Lizard, bringing them to 17 points on the dot. And their slightly reflective cards are Dark Restoration, Dark Empowerment, Brace for Impact, Monkey Brain is Lizard Home, and Journey Through Limbo. And here we have the Mystique-led Brotherhood of Mutants, so they'll be getting power refunds on interacting with extracts, and can also put up those markers to kind of sit on a back objective as long as nobody gets near them. Joined by the Blob, joined by the Juggernaut, and joined by Gambit and Pyro. So a little bit of a mix of big and bulky and small and evasive. And they're also reflective cards, good grief. Asteroid M, Dark Past, the Books of Truth, Making a Ruckus, and Do You Know Who I Am? And once again we are using the new updated proper official versions of the new Crisis cards. And the threat value being played is the extract. Struggle for the cube continues, so the red markers on the table are the cube fragments that will be getting picked up. 1 VP for each one held, but they damage you and give you power as well. In layout, they don't even list the layout here anymore, do they? Because they just have it there, so they don't need to. So I think this used to be, this used to be E or something, E or F. Either way, the other mission is Mayor Fisk vows to find missing witnesses. 2 witnesses. I think they used to be on like further opposite ends of the table now, so they're a bit closer. You score 2 VP for each one you secure during the cleanup phase, and then in the cleanup phase they move 2 and damage anyone within one of them and give some stun as well. So slightly different than this used to be before the update. So there's 4 VPs on offer here and 5 VPs on offer here. So relatively low threat value match, lots of victory points on offer. You already had a little bit of a look, but the 2 witnesses are the blue markers, so they'll be moving a little bit but staying on the table, hopefully not being as reflective. And then the 5 red ones are the cube fragments that'll be getting picked up, so you won't have to look at them for too much longer. And we are all set up and good to go. The Dark Dimension are deployed to your left and will be taking first activation unless they opt to use a pass, because they have 4 miniatures to the Brotherhood's 5. Speaking of which, the Brotherhood, Juggernaut's down here next to Mystique, then we have Gambit, and then Blob and Pyro up this end of the table here. And then over this side of things, we've got Magic down here next to Dormammu, and then we have Kraven and the Lizard over there. They all start with extra power thanks to just the Dark Dimension affiliation bonus, and if at any point they have more than 6 power in the power phase, they'll start taking damage and giving that power to Dormammu instead. So with that, let's get this started. The Lizard got the game started for the Dark Dimension, opting not to pass. Moved up medium, then paid 1 power to pick up the closest extract, which is again a cube fragment on this end of the table. Then moved medium again, so that he was between the secure, which is the witness, and another cube fragment that was in the centre of the table there. He was within 1 of each thanks to his big base, and he paid his extra power that Dormammu gave him from his affiliation bonus to pick that one up as well. So the Lizard is helping to control that witness and already has 2 of the 5 cube fragments. That does mean he's taking 2 damage at the end of the turn, and if he gets a little bit peppered with damage prior to that, it could be bad. But the Dark Dimension, they're 1 man down numbers wise, and they don't really have a good long tail, so they've got to try and score early. The Juggernaut got the game started for the Brotherhood of Mutants, moving small, and once per turn, once he completes a movement action, he gains 2 power. He spent 1 power to pick up the extract, the cube fragment aka, that was sitting there, and then Mystique's affiliation bonus kicked in. He gets a refund of that 1 power. You do have to have it to spend, but you get it back instantly. It is an important wording, because you don't pick it up for free, you just get a refund. He then moved small again, because there was nothing in range to threaten, and because Magneto isn't leader, there's no point to needlessly destroy scenery yet, so he didn't do the charge thing he does. Don't you know? No, it's not Don't You Know Who I Am. It's going to bother me if I don't check what it's called. It is called Nothing Stops the Juggernaut. That's the one. He can hold on to that for later. He is within 1 of the other witness there though, so he is securing it and he is in damage range from Dormammu and Magic, but he is built to take it against magic or mystic attacks at least. Magic was up next for the Dark Dimension, moving forward medium, which put her in range 4 to do a bolts of Uther, Lex Luthor, whatever. 4 dice energy into the Juggernaut, managed to not roll a single success in the attack roll, so no defense roll required. It does generate 1 flat power, however. She paid 1 of, in total she had 3 power by then, to pick up the extract she was sitting on, and paid the other 2 to limbo step to within securing radius of the second witness, so it's actually a draw there now with the Juggernaut. Rather than trying to secure a witness, Gambit activated, moved up medium, which put him just within range 3 of the lizard, and opted to do a kinetic ace, throwing some explosive throwing cards at him. Didn't get any wilds for an explosion, not that it would have mattered. Did manage to do 3 damage, which is reduced down to 2 thanks to his thick hide rule, and makes a start on his health. He does have healing factor, but he'll need to activate to do that. Not a great start when the Dark Dimension has rolled 1 set of dice and rolled not a single success. Gambit rolls 5 dice and 4 of them were hits. So hopefully that doesn't continue, or this will end up being very one-sided. Kraven the Hunter was next up for the Dark Dimension. Dormammu always happy to go last for his side, at least in turn 1, because if any of them get damaged, he gets power. Which he did there when Lizard got wounded. Anyway, Kraven just did 2 movement actions to kind of lodge himself next to the Lizard and also with the scenery right behind him so he doesn't get pushed away, to help secure the left side witness. Pyro moved up and paid 1 power to pick up the, I think, was that the last extract? Yep, that was the last cube fragment on the table, which was then refunded thanks to Mystique. He then did his range 4 basic attack, Fire Blast, Pyro Blast, into the Lizard, doing 2 damage reduced down to 1 with his thick hide, and also getting the Incinerate. It was 3 wilds were the successes in that roll. So that does mean if Lizard takes at least 1 damage from any other source for the remainder of his turn, he'll just die in the cleanup phase after scoring, because the cube fragments will kill him. So it's a little bit hazardous. I'm not sure Blob can get to him. Mystique might be able to with her pistols though, although he does have good physical defense. We'll see, but it's getting very dangerous for him. Also, Dormammu, he could activate now, or he may pass. We'll see. So Dormammu did pass, which means Mystique activated, and 1 long move from her would not put Lizard within range 3, so she can't really threaten him. He might live till the end of a turn, as it turns out. So she instead just double moved to position herself with Juggernaut here, guarding this witness. Currently they're controlling that unless Dormammu moves in. He has to activate now, so let's see what he does. So Dormammu activated with 4 power to play with, thanks to Lizard taking a couple of smacks for him earlier in the turn, and spent 3 of them immediately on Not of this dimension to place himself within 2. He then moved medium, and that meant he could attack. So he just did his basic Hex Bolt into Mystique, managed to sap 1 power off of her before damage was dealt, and then did 3 damage to her. He doesn't gain anything from that besides the sap power. He has to get damaged, or his teammates have to get damaged. But he is also helping to control that witness there, meaning that it's going to be a draw unless the Blob gets down there, but I don't think the Blob will fit. And yeah, based on where he is, he'd have to do the belly. Oh, if he belly flopped into Magic, he would teleport him and get placed within 1, I think. But she's probably too far away to initiate that. Well, it's over to him to end the turn either way, though. With him only moving small, there wasn't really much for the Blob to do, so he just moved twice and is going to put a little bit of pressure on the Lizard next turn. And that means we're to scoring. So the scoring will happen first, then the cube fragments will damage and give power, and then also the witnesses will move and potentially do 1 damage and stun. I believe if it's a draw, it doesn't move or do any of that, but the other one for sure will move. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the Dark Dimension have 3 of the cube fragments during the scoring portion of the end of the round. 1 on Magic, 2 on Lizard. They also held 1 of the witnesses for another 2, taking them to 5. The Brotherhood of Mutants have the other 2 extracts, aka the cube fragments, 1 on Pyro, 1 on Juggernaut. So they scored 2 for that, and it was a draw down here on this witness. So 1, it doesn't get placed, so it doesn't do the damage, etc. And 2, nobody scores it. So 5 plays 2 in the Dark Brotherhood. No, not Dark Brotherhood. That would be Skyrim. The Dark Dimension favour, and damage-wise, everyone with the cube fragment that we just discussed, all take 1 damage. 2 damage on Lizard because he had 2. However, the witness gets moved and does 1 damage to him, and that does actually mean he will be dazed. So the 2 cube fragments are going to be dropped. It does mean that he gets to flip his card, because the damage step for all this cleanup phase happens just before the step where you would flip characters who are dazed, so he will still get to activate in the next turn, but he will obviously be dazed. But he might get the chance to pick those up, since the Dark Dimension are going first. And Craven also took 1 damage and is stunned as a result of the Witness and getting shoved within range 1 of them by the Brotherhood. As we start round 2, here's where the 2 cube fragments dropped by the Lizard have ended up. He's probably going to activate and go chase them, but I guess we'll see. Yep, Lizard was the first to activate for the Dark Dimension, moving up medium to where you can see him. Within 1 of both those dropped cube fragments, he paid 2 power to pick them up. Oh, he did also get 6 power during the power phase, so he took 1 damage, thanks to Flames of the Faultine affiliation bonus. That gives 1 power to Dormammu, but he healed at the end of his turn due to his healing factor. From where he was, for his other action, he did Monkey Brain his Lizard home, spending 3 power on this to give him access to an area 2 5 dice physical with a guaranteed push away. He managed to do 0 damage to Pyro, but it still does the push, so pushed him into the building there. He did 2 damage to Gambit, who opted not to do the agility, holding on for a big hit instead, and got pushed backwards into that rock there. The Juggernaut was first up for the Brotherhood of Mutants and started with "Do you know who I am?" as the first thing to do. He spends 3, he can pick a character or terrain size 4 or less within 2 and chuck it long. He picked up the building corner that was here and chucked it into Magic's face for 4 damage, dazing her and making her drop a Q fragment, which he paid 1 to pick up. He then moved small, which gave him some power because of his momentum roll. He then spent that 3 power on Nothing Stops the Juggernaut to charge through a rock into base contact with the Lizard, which does 1 damage from just contact damage. And then for his other actual action, he threw a punch, just a basic strike, although with extra 3 dice from his momentum, and managed to do only 1 damage, not even with the reduction, just 1 damage. That could have been a lot worse for the Lizard, but Juggernaut is now holding on to 2 of the cube fragments and is putting pressure on that poor Lizard, and Magic obviously is not going to be getting a turn this round. The big man himself, Dormammu, decided to activate. However, just as a note, it turns out Magic did have enough power on her to have done Brace for Impact, but missed the opportunity. It might have changed what Juggernaut did, because Juggernaut probably would have stayed there to try and take her out to steal that cube fragment. Missed the chance to say that she was using it, so we're playing on. It does mean it might be useful later in the battle, but yeah, that could have saved her for sure. Anyway, for Dormammu, he started with a basic Hex Bolt into Mystique, hoping it would do the 2 damage required to daze her. It did nothing, so out of frustration he then spent 5 power on Incantation of Obliteration, which did 5, so yeah, okay, fine, that dazed her. But he also got what was required for Dark Miasma, which I think is a shield, a skull, a crit, and a wild. There might be another thing in there. You need a weird assortment of symbols, but if you get them, you can target an enemy within 2 that hasn't been targeted by it already and do another one. So the Blob got to eat an Incantation of Obliteration and also took 5 damage. Oh, he could have spent 1 on reducing that. Actually, yeah, so that's not a missed opportunity because he can still do it now. So he'll actually only have 4 damage at the cost of 1 power. As part of that tickles, which is the damage reduction on the Blob, he also pushes away with no size limit. So he did push Dormammu away down here, so Dormammu is actually ending his turn by spending his last 3 power on Nod of his Dimension to immediately be placed back basically right where he was. So the Blob activated for the Brotherhood of Mutants, eventually using his second action just to reposition where you see him. But first of all, spent on Thunderous Splash, 7 dice, physical, range 3 power. He's placed within 1 before damage is dealt, so he was placed basically on the Witness, which let's not look into the mental image of that. And he managed to get Dormammu for 3 damage, which Dormammu only generates 1 power off of because of the way his rules work. And there's a push on a Wild with Explosive Force, and it doesn't have a size limitation either, so he got shoved back small from that, and it deals 1 damage as well if you're pushed back by it like that. So in total he took 4 of his 10 on his healthy side, I think. Yeah, 10 on his healthy side, and more importantly, he is no longer holding that Witness, the overly shiny Witness there. The Blob is, in fact, the only one holding it over there. Last activation of the second round for Dark Dimension was Craven the Hunter. He moved up to the far side of the secure, which means that he was within range 3 of Pyro to do Corner the Beast for 2 power, meaning that if during his turn Pyro moves, he is going to take 1 damage. He then threw a Spear Thrust, and because he'd done an advance in his turn, he was allowed to move medium afterwards, which is why he is right back basically where he was. He did manage to do 2 damage to Pyro. I think that's 3 on him in total now, so he's got 2 left, and it's over to him and Gambit to end the round. Well, sitting on a reasonable amount of power and not really wanting to move, because if he did, he would then daze in the cleanup phase after the cube he's holding would do 1 damage. Pyro instead spent a total of 6 power across 2 basic attacks with Stoke the Flames, which add on 2 dice, so it was 2 7-dice energy with Incinerate on Wilds. The first one only did a single point of damage to the lizard, the second however did the Incinerate and 4 damage. He was also very dead by that point, because that would be 4 or 5, he had 2 on him. So yeah, the lizard is out of there, and he dropped his 2 cube fragments, which have been placed conveniently there, so that Gambit can go pick them up. Yeah, so Gambit moved up, paid 2 power, and then picked up those 2 cube fragments. He's actually just going to chill back there now, because he's going to be 1 hit away from dazing when the turn rolls over from the damage those cubes are going to do to him on top of what he already received from Blizzard. So he's being a little bit of a coward, hanging around near Juggernaut, so he can hopefully pick up the slack if he ends up dropping them next turn. But with that, we're going to the scoring for the round. So the witnesses will both be moving, because they are both held this time, but we'll cover that in a second. So at the end of a disastrous round 2, that's why the Dark Dimension have to score early. Lizard is off the table, Magic is flipping her card, and scores wise, the Brotherhood of Mutants have all 5 cube fragments for 5 victory points, and they also held one of the witnesses down here for 2, so they gained 7, taking them up to 9. This was moved ever so slightly though, and has now dealt 1 damage and stunned the blob, which puts him 1 away, I believe, from being dazed. So he's a bit fragile along with a couple of more people. In terms of the cube fragments, Pyro had 1 for 1 damage, Juggernaut had 2, and Gambit had the other 2, so that's all the damage done there. Craven takes 1 more point of damage for the only points the Dark Dimension scores this round by holding on to the other witness, so he's up to 2 damage now, I believe. He didn't have anything else. We're going into round 3, the Dark Dimension are still holding priority, but it's not looking so good for them unless they start taking people out. Battle round 3 got started with Magic activating for the Dark Dimension and having a very interesting turn. She started, I think, with 9 power, so she did take 1 damage in the power phase and gave 1 power to Dormammu via Flames of the Faultine. She then spent 3 on Journey Through Limbo, her unique card. Pick a character within 2 and place them within 3, they gain Incinerate. She used it on Dormammu, and he is immune to Incinerate, so it's essentially just a place within 3 for him. So he has ended up over there. She then spent 4 on Dark Child, and did that into Mystique, needing 5 to kill her. Managed to do 6, so got her from healthy to dead on her dazed side, so she is out of there. Then she did a Soul Sword on the blob, only needing to do 1 to him to daze him. Managed to also do 5. Well, she did 6, he paid for a nice punch, or whatever it's called. Actually, I don't think you need to do that before dice rolls. I think that saves a power actually. Either way, he's definitely dazed from the 5 damage. So activation denied, or 2 activations denied, and 1 piece removed off the table. The Juggernaut activated and did a movement action to get started to generate 2 power and to get up in Dormammu's face, which added 3 dice onto the 4 power he spent for I'm the Juggernaut, making a 10 dice attack, just needing a while to do the rush as well, which he did get. And he managed to do a massive 5 damage to Dormammu. Not quite enough to take him out, left him on 1, but with the rush he gets to do Nothing Stops the Juggernaut without paying the power cost. He's going boop, and just boop, just walking into him, which does 1 automatic damage, and that does mean Dormammu is dazed. Battle round 3 is going to be a short one. Craven the Hunter is the last activation for the Dark Dimension. Moved up to within range 2 of Pyro to do a 5 dice Kukri strike with a reroll from his weird vapors that he's huffing. Either way, he did 2 damage, only needed to do 1, so Pyro is dazed and will not be activating. He dropped his cube fragment, which Craven has picked up. He got a wild for elusive, so he was placed within short of where he was. He should probably not be quite that far back, but either way, still within 1 of the witness over there for sure. And that does mean Gambit is last man standing, and Gambit needs to be a little bit conservative with his actions, because during the cleanup phase after he scores 2, he is definitely dazing. Oh, Gambit found a way to be even extra annoying during the activation he had. 2 major moves got him down here and then over here, so he's actually within range 1 of that secure there, and he's on his healthy side and Magic isn't. I mean, he's not going to be on his healthy side for much longer, but he's on his healthy side and she isn't, so he is now the one securing that. I'm not sure how many points that means they're getting this turn thanks to Pyro losing his fragment. I guess we'll see in a second because we're at scoring. So at the end of Battle Round 3, here is how things have panned out. Craven now has 1 Q fragment and secured that witness for the Dark Dimension, getting them the 3 victory points they gained for the turn, taking them to 10. He is going to daze if we go into a Battle Round 4, because he will have 6 or more powers. The Flames of the Faultine will make him daze, so he would be not getting a turn since that's after the cleanup phase. Gambit dazes, but not before securing 2 points for cube fragments, which have now been put there, and 2 points for being the only healthy character securing that witness, meaning he gained 4, Juggernaut gained 2 more for the 2 he's holding, which have damaged him for 2, meaning that the Brotherhood of Mutants have 15 of the 16 required to win. So it technically isn't over, and Dormammu does have enough power that during the cleanup phase he can bring the lizard back with Dark Restoration, but they're not going to get enough to win when the Brotherhood of Mutants just need to score a point. Like, the Juggernaut could just run away. If Dormammu takes him out, Pyro just needs to take out or just hold the secure, because if Magic runs over there to try and stop him doing it, with them both being on their daze side, these two just need to hold this. They literally don't have enough bodies, even if you factor the lizard in, because he comes back. Actually, does he come back on his healthy side? Maybe there is a chance. Let's read Dark Restoration. It's been a while. During the cleanup phase, Dormammu pays 6. Allied character threats 3 or less has been killed in the game within 2 of him. He is healthy and has no damage. So actually, that would give them a healthy character, so maybe there is something to do here. Let's at least play a little bit around 4 and see, because with Lizard coming back healthy within 2 of him, and him probably activating first, because the Dark Dimension's activating first again. Yeah, there is actually a hope here, because the Lizard could be the one that runs down here. Yeah, because he'll have power. He'll have 2 power, because he comes back in the cleanup phase. Yeah, alright, we're going to play a little bit of round 4 actually. Let's see. So to get the round started proper, Dark Restoration was used in the cleanup phase, as just discussed. It is having trouble coming into focus. There we go, and there's the text, but I read it out anyway. So that's where Lizard ended up within 2 of Dormammu. It was actually Dormammu who activated, because they need to deny any possible scoring capabilities. Oh, and when Craven dazes from Flames of the Faultine, that's where his Q fragment ended up. So Pyro is probably just going to take it and run. At the best they could hope for is a draw, but that's still possible. Dormammu activated, did a Hex Bolt on Juggernaut, hoping to daze him to make him drop those 2 Q fragments. He only did 1 damage, 1 power was spent on Nice Punch to make it do 0. He then did Incantation of Obliteration on the Blob, and actually did obliterate him, removed him from the table in 1 fell swoop. Got the Dark Miasma again, and it hit Gambit for 3. He's still alive with 2 left on his wounded side, I believe. So at least deleted the Blob, but they still need to deny. I mean, they need to hope for a draw. They will not win, but a draw is better than a loss, so we're still going to try. Gambit activated for the leader Lizard Brotherhood of Mutants, moved once to get within 1 of both of the Q fragments he dropped, paid to pick them both up, and then ran away, because again, they just really need to secure the points. So he ran away down here, so Magic or the Lizard are going to have to chase him, because Craven can't do anything, so choices have to be made. Alright, this is actually becoming very cinematic. Magic activated, she spent 3 on Step Through Limbo to place within 3, which put her within 2 of Gambit. She did her Soul Sword on him, and did exactly enough to take him out. Now unfortunately after that she only had 1 power left, which means she can only pick up 1 of the cube fragments he dropped, so the other one is just sitting there. But as long as it's not held by the Brotherhood, that's not necessarily a bad thing. She had another action left, because stepping through Limbo isn't an action, so she moved Medium back to be securing the Witness here. So now it's over to Juggernaut or the Pyro. The Pyro? Pyro. Well, of those 2, it was the Juggernaut to activate. He did 2 small moves, and then also used Nothing Stops the Juggernaut to move small again to take his toys and run away home. Look at him. Look at him up there. He's running home. He's just getting himself in the corner to secure 2 points. So, yeah, that's what you have to do to win. Well, speaking of doing everything you can to win, the newly returned and healthy Lizard moved twice, and thanks to a large base, he actually got within 1 of the secure there, and within the 1 of the extraction that Craven dropped, the Q fragment. He paid 1 power to pick that up, and that means Pyro probably isn't going to shift that unless he spikes twice. He's sitting on enough power to do Inferno, so he can definitely roll a lot of dice at least once. So it's just a case of can he take out the Lizard, because he can't contest because he's on his daze side. So we're just going to do that, and that will take us to the end of the game one way or the other. I am not kidding you. this is the roll for Inferno. 4 skulls, 2 shields, and a blank. And then he just did his basic, what's it called? Fire Blast? There's the roll for that. 2 blanks, 2 shields, and a skull. It's not going to matter probably, I think they've still won, but that is just hilarious, and a whimper to end on. Pyro kind of fluffed it at the end there. So at the end of round 4, and indeed the game, it actually did come down to a nail biter, and it actually came down to a single point of power, meaning the difference between a loss and a draw. The Brotherhood are scoring 2 for the 2 Q fragments that Juggernaut has ran away with, so that takes them to 17 of the 16 required to win. The Dark Dimension have the other, well, 2 of the other Q fragments, 1 on Magic and 1 on Lizard for 2. They hold both witnesses for 4, which actually takes them to 16, meaning that if Magic had had 1 more power and had picked up both that dropped from Gambit, it would have been a draw at 17 each. It came down to 1 power. I really hope her power has been tracked accurately through the entire game, because otherwise that is doubly bad, because if she'd just been able to pick that up, it would have been a draw at 17 each. As it stands though, the Brotherhood of Mutants win 17 to 16. And that concludes another Marvel Crisis Protocol battle report for the channel on a new map. And again, I would like to know, for the purposes of filming, do you like these icons for objectives, the extract, secure, which makes it very clear which is which, because it literally says it on them, or do you like the new kind of stylized tokens from the Earth's Mightiest core set that we saw last time? Let me know, and going forward we'll film with whatever you want. On that note, thank you very much for watching. If you would like to go above and beyond to support the channel in general, please do consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It helps out a bunch, helps keep the lights on, and is all reinvested in the channel as well. Help us pick up some new characters, etc. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you in the future for more. Until next time, ta-ta for now.